Hello everyone, you are welcome back to SAS and R tutorials. In this tutorial, we are going to be showing you, or I'm going to be showing you, how to import multiple Excel files into SAS. So uh, we've done it before um, with CSV files in our previous tutorial. But this tutorial will focus on importing Excel files. So this will be Excel's file, and then this will be Excel files, and then I'm going to be showing you the same thing too in R. Okay, so this is SAS here on the left, and this is R here on the right. So to start with, I will want to start with just introducing you again to this layout here. Okay, the first thing I'm doing here, first I'm going to just write this to clear any of the things that I have in the log as well as in the output. Okay, just to clear it, and then it tells me okay, that is done. Then I go back to my code. So first okay, another thing I will do here is just to set my directory, which is the folder containing my data set. And if you come here, you see it here. Okay, this is the folder Olympics, and these are the data sets. So I'm going to be dealing with 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 here. Okay, so you set the working directory as we did in the past. So we are just using this to represent this entire directory. So this is going to be a placeholder. So so the next thing we do here, as we did in the previous tutorial, is to create a macro. Okay, we need to create a macro, wrap a macro around this import procedure, and then add this proc append to ensure that all the data, that the data is combined into a singular data set. Okay, at the end of the import. So remember, we have a macro. So the macro is import Excel, which is the name of the macro. This just, it can be anything. Okay, it can be anything. It can be 1, 2, 3. It can be ABC or anything whatsoever that you choose to name it. But I just want to name it, give it a name that is informative. Okay, that kind of tells what I'm going to be doing. So it's import Excel, and then I think it should be import multiple Excel, whatever. But this is just okay for now. And I'm passing a parameter that I will be. This parameter is the parameter that I will be adding. Okay, that will be changing. This is a variable parameter here. It changes. Okay, so which means it's not constant. So this is the first one that I'm going to be adding, the second one, and things like that. Okay, so but these data, for the purpose of this tutorial, I made this data set to be the same. Okay, I only kind of change them, add some numbers as checks to prove that everything runs fine. Okay, here, let me just delete this first to see this. Okay, now here I wrap a macro. So the macro is to enable this process to run multiple times. So if I run this, it's going to work for only one data set for now. Okay, but if I had a macro, it's going to help repeat that process multiple times, as many times as I have enough data set, which is this parameter that I'm supplying here, which is the name of the data set. As much as I have this data set, as much data set that I have, it's going to accept it. Okay, so this is Excel file, so you expected to add a sheet name, but in this case I didn't add any sheet name. So the only modification to read from the previous tutorial is that I added these get names, which help me, which tells us that the first row is my variable, is the row containing my variables. Okay, the variable names. Okay, and then another thing that I had is obviously the file type, which is Excel. So and then these, and then I change a few of these as well. These here and here as well. So what happens here is this: it's going to run this for each of the data set that I had, and it's going to add the resulting data set to or concatenate or combine all the data sets into a singular data set called all Excel. Okay, so without much ado about anything, I think I should just run the first and import the first data set. So as you can see, I'm going to run this and import the first. Oh, first I need to run the okay, let me just grab it and run it from line 1. You see line here, that's a line number from line 1 to line 16. Okay, if everything runs fine, then I should have that pop up, and then when I go to my log that tells me that everything is working, then I should see that as well. So now I have here that I have 20 observations from this, and this is the first one. Okay, I have 20 observations, and here is where we have the concatenation, the concatenated data set. Okay, it's saying that we are appending this to this, and then the resulting data, which is the same as that as they, has 20 observations and 15 variables. Okay, so that means it worked. So let's now just highlight from 17 to 20 and just run it. And then if everything works, remember what we did for the previous tutorial for CSV. If everything works, then we should see we should have 100 observations and 15 variables. Okay, let's go to our log to see that everything works. It tells me that this 15 Olympics 5 has been okay, added. Okay, has been ported correctly, and port 4 here, 3 here, and as if we have 2. So now let's go to the this one here. So these are our new data set now has 100 observations as well as 15 variables. So that is correctly imported. So let's take a look at let's print and see if we can still follow to see to check if everything runs fine. Okay, we should be able to see 1000, 2000, 3000, 4000, 5000 if everything runs fine. Oh yeah, that is what we have here. We have a 1000. Next one should start from, like, I guess 21. So we have 2000. The next one should start from, I guess, 41. And then we have our 3000. The next one should start from 61, I guess. Yeah, 4000, then 5000. So it's run fine. So everything worked fine. So I just want to know what my data looks like. I just want to say, okay, var name, var num. Okay, yeah, var num, which is a variable number. So this is going to help give you or output something that that follows the order in which the variables are arranged in the data set. Okay, so I'll show you right now. See, this table is just for information, and here is what we are going to be looking at. Okay, so first we have the ID, which is a numerical variable, it's number, and then the name is a character variable. It is not a number, and anything that has letters are not classified as numbers, okay, or numerical variables. So they are classified as character variables. Okay, and that's it for everything. And the medal, there should be a character because we have silver, we have bronze, and we have gold. So that works fine. So we now have to transition to R to pretty much do the same thing. So just like what we have here, I also have here in R, where we have these following files that we want to following Excel files that we want to import into R. So this is slightly different from what we had from the CSV thing, where we use a room, okay, to do the job. But here is a little slightly different. because Vroom will have to request or does require a delimiter which is not present for the Excel file. So it's mostly for CSV, TSV files. It's mostly good for that. So this is a different one entirely. Um, then we need to run this to create our working directory as we created before. And then I think I ran it earlier, so let me just close this so that it doesn't interfere with what we're doing. Okay, now I have this as my working directory, and then have to load these packages that would kind of help us get the job done. Okay, now we have the next thing is to similar to what we did here, where we have to read all the files. Okay, and then we check again. We read all the files using this S apply, which is the apply group of functions, which will do what, apply this read Excel to each of these files here. Okay, so what we do here is just to we read and then we check. Okay, I'm just going to highlight from line 10 to line 13. Okay, so we have the files that I said it should list, and I'm giving it the path, okay, where the files are. So you see I had this full stop here or a dot or something like that, which tells SAS R that I mean this current directory here, okay, right here. Okay, so if it is in a different directory, I will have to give the path to that directory. Okay, and the pattern that I'm trying to recognize here is that, okay, anything that ends with .xlx, which is with this extension. Okay, if it is a CSV, the only I think we can do CSV after this. So if it is CSV, we only need to replace this with CSV, and that is fine. Okay, then we should be ready to go. So let's run this and check. Now everything is fine. So now you come back down here, you see that I have my Olympics 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 all Excel files. That is actually what I wanted, and then I need to use this as apply to apply this read Excel function. That is probably pretty much the reason why I need to add these load this package here. Okay, and then it's going to here, if I remove this part of the code here, it's going to mess everything up. Okay, so I'm going to add, so what happens here is going to bind the rows, which will be the corresponding directory to each of those files. Okay, so if I have to remove, if I remove it, it's not going to be, it's going to be messy if I remove this. So I need to just add it, and it will create a new column, so I can give the name as maybe directory or path. Okay, so path is okay. So if I run this, it creates a table. So we are okay. Now I run this, everything runs fine. If I ask it to, okay, if I just run this, see what I got. Okay, now, okay, let me just drag this in. Okay, now I have my path, which is the directory to the file, and then I have the remaining variables. So, but then I don't want this. Okay, I don't want this. I use this pipe function, this pipe here to kind of connect these previous action here, this first part with this. So it's still going to be the same data set I'm working on here. So I'm passing this one to this here. Okay, and then the next thing I do is just to convert it properly using this function here. If you run this function here, this is what it tells. This is what this function is about. What is behind the scene? What runs behind the scene? So we require you to provide um, these objects, and then a few other things that needs to be added as well. But we can, if you use, in the past it used to be as table, but now it's as underscore table. Okay, now if you run that, it will tell you it's not used anymore, that you should use this. So that's the reason we run these we load this package. Okay, and then we need to pipe it again, which means I'm going to continue using this data set that I use here. Okay, I converted it, uh, that have converted it here. I want to apply another thing to it. So using this select function from the tidyverse, maybe the plier package, which is wrapped up in this tidyverse. Okay, I want to select you see I said minus path, so which means that I want to select everything except this path column. Remember when we printed it, when we view it, this is what we found. Okay, this is what we have. So when we come here to, I think what's it called, okay, it's okay, here when you view it, you see the path here. Okay, so or the file, so to speak, perhaps the file or the path. So let me change it. I think let me change it here. I'm going to change it here to file, and then this file, and then I just want to tell it to delete the file instead of path now. So I run it again. Everything runs fine, and then I need to tell it to convert the data, and then after the conversion, I want you to remove the column file. Okay, that's why I say select everything except this. Okay, so this is going to be removed, and then we are going to view it, and then review it in Excel to be sure that everything works fine. So we're going to run this here, and then it ran fine, and then we're going to view it. Okay, now everything is fine. It looks like what we had before, which is where I guess here, this print in. Now we have the first 100, the first one is 1,000, so which we have this name, and the first one here is 1,000, which we have this name as well. So the next one will be 2,000. The next one will be 3,000, which is here. The third one will be 4,000, and the fifth one will be 5,000. Okay, this is what we have here as well. So everything ran fine, and then let's view it in Excel. So let me open my Excel. See, the first one 1,000, second 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. Okay, that is fine. Okay, that imported when it's done correctly. So I just close this. Okay, now I want to come back to these Excel. So there's something that I didn't mention earlier. I'm assuming that you have your data set in the first row. The reason why I didn't add the sheet here, which must be added ordinarily, is because I'm importing a lot, and we are just assuming here that the first sheet in your data set, of your data set, contains let me check. The first sheet of your data set contains okay, this is it. So let me just open one of the files for the Excel. So let me open number 5. Okay, so I'm assuming that the first sheet here contains the data set. So let me just rename this. It should be 5 instead. Okay, so now I have 5. So the first sheet here should contain, should have the data that I want to import. So if in case I have the data set here in the second sheet, it may fail to. So let me just drag this over and let's see what happens. So let's save it. So that's what I want to demonstrate to you. So that may not work, okay? It may not import. So let's try to clear everything again and see what happens. And so let's clear those okay, log and the output, and then let's run this again. And for that, I'm just going to run number 5. So to show you that if the data set, I'm going to run number 4 and 5. This is to show you that if the data set is not in the first sheet, it may not work. Okay, this is okay, this works with the data being in the first sheet. So let me just run this too, because I changed file number 5. So now I said this cannot be opened because it does not contain any column. So perhaps I think I still have some data set here open. Oh yeah, it will, because I still had some data set from the previous. So let me run this code here. I think first things first, to clear out any data set that is already in the memory, so that it doesn't mess up what we are going to be doing. Okay, so now I'm going to open up code. So I'm just going to save it, and then so I'm going to run it again. So starting from here, remember what I'm proving here. I'm proving that the data must be in the first sheet. Okay, if not, it won't work. So let's run this. So number 4 should work fine, and number 5 shouldn't. I mean, won't or shouldn't. Okay. Now we had 20, which works fine, but number 5 has 0 observations. Okay, and then you have this warning here, or warnings. So the data set is in the first sheet, so it doesn't work. Okay. Well, so we should have 40. Okay, we should have 20 from 4 and 20 from 5. Everything should be 40 here, but here we have so let's go back here again and just run the code. Go to the code and run this running man to clear what data set we had there, and then let's go back to the data set, and then open, and then now change the column, I mean the sheet name. So let me bring it here. This one is useless. Okay, let me just leave it. So I'll just save it and then close it. Okay, now let's go go back to our data set. So let's run this. We're going to clear everything that I have. Okay, it's cleared. Okay, here is cleared. Okay, now I need to go back to this code. Okay, yeah, I need to go back to this code, and then I want to run this. Okay, and then go back to the code. I want to run the 4 and 5 again. If everything runs fine, then I should have my 40 observations and 15 variables. Okay, now I think there is no error here, and then it's telling me that 4 imported correctly and 5 also imported correctly. So now I should have like 40 observations, which is exactly what I have here. Okay, for that file. So what I'm proving here is that it must be, so that is a caveat. That is the only caveat. It must be on the first sheet. So yeah, maybe in the future we might have to try to see if we have multiple data sets in each of those files. How do we import all the data set from each of the multiple sheets from each of these files? So we'll see how we can do the same thing, importing the data set from each of those sheets in the individual files. Okay, that is what I have for you today. If you like what we're doing, I want you to like it, I want you to share it, and I want you to subscribe to our channel. Okay, so comment, I want you to drop a comment, especially don't be afraid drop a comment and let's see. I mean, if you have a question, just put it there. If I can't answer you very quickly, I would make sure um, I, I do that as soon as I get uh, to see your question. Okay, so just in case you see that I'm not answering your question, I want you to just um, yes, I want you to say